Hey guys, in this episode we talked about stuff. We took some questions from our listeners. That's at the end. In between that, Saul had some theories about fashion.
Mm-hmm.
We discussed the nature of fast fashion, as we often do. And we talked about 500 Days of Summer.
Yeah, I don't understand that movie. Okay, well, here's the theme song.
What you gonna do with all that junk inside your trunk? I'ma get you drunk, get you love drunk off my hump, 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 my lovely little lump. Check it out.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pair of Kings podcast. I'm your host, Saul Thompson. You can find me on Instagram at Saul Thompson. I'm joined this week by my wonderful co-host.
Hey everybody, I'm Michael Smith. You can find me on Instagram, and this is Leo. He's a wiener dog.
It's the third boys episode of the season. We are doing a giveaway. For everybody listening, if you're listening early on Hero Hero, you'll get automatically entered. For those listening normally, you have a couple of days to sign up to the Hero Hero, I believe 6, as the giveaway will close on Monday, the Monday after this comes out. The winner of the giveaway, which if you're signed up to Hero Hero, you're automatically entered in, will win either a gray or a black Rick Owens ribbed beanie, straight from Essence. We'll ship it straight to you. Michael, it's gray and black?
Yeah, it's black or dark dust, which is gray.
Great. So winner will win that. Again, automatically entered. If you're signed up to the Hero Hero, I will do that automatically on Monday. Message the winner, get your address, all that good stuff. If it is unclaimed by Thursday, we just roll it again, and another Hero Hero subscriber will win that. So again, head over to herohero.co/PoK if you'd like to automatically be entered into that giveaway. It will close the Monday after this comes out.
Yep.
Cool.
Fun fact that I just remembered is that Rick modeled Dark Dust originally after what like cheap black dye looks like when it gets washed way too many times.
Oh.
And I am looking
In a garment?
Yeah. So like after you like dye something with black dye and then you wash it a whole bunch, you get what is this like? Depending on like the undertones of that black dye, you get like a greenish, grayish, brownish kind of muddy. And I'm looking at your hat, which is black and has been washed so many times, or like sun bleached.
I think originally it was a dark navy.
Oh, my fault. But it does look Dark Dust-esque.
Yeah, this is that Rick that you guys wish you had.
Yeah. I wish you were on the Boston Red Sox.
Yep.
Dark Dust.
Again, Yannick, throw it up, herohero.co/POK, and then if you could throw an image of the Essence black rib or dark dust beanie next to it, head over there if you'd like to sign up. Thank you so much to everybody who has subscribed to the Hero Hero. You get early access to episodes, additional episodes, which will be coming soon, and access to all these giveaways. So, okay, this week on the podcast, we're doing listener questions. There's a couple of things I want to talk about beforehand. I have theories.
Oh.
We're going to talk theories.
I have theories.
Yeah.
You have theories.
Michael, would you lead us off with a fit check?
Yes. I'm playing a game of basketball later today, so I'm wearing my cowboy Crocs just to rest my feet. Rick Owens heavy leather basketball shorts, a Rick Owens undershirt thingy, Uniqlo Heat Tech leggings, and a jersey of my favorite basketball team, the Porterville Pirates.
Cool.
Yeah, what are you wearing?
Girbo jeans. I had my Daft Punk crew neck. I think it was a 2014 or 2015 pop-up exclusive. I don't know. It wasn't the Maxfield one. It was another one. But it also might have been available on the Daft Club site. I don't know because I didn't have access that early.
To the Daft Club site?
So Daft Punk starting with... it might have been Human After All. It might have been Discovery. When they sold any form of physical media, usually albums, it would come with a card, like a credit card, with a unique login. And you could go to Daft Club, which was a website, and use that card to log in. And then it would give you access. There was an album. It was the Homework remixes. And then I think a couple of other exclusive remixes, like a Junior Sanchez remix of Revolution 909 was on there. There was a Soul Wax remix of it might have been Around the World. I'm blanking. These are all on my iPod, and I should probably know. But you could get access to that and download all those. I don't think they came in FLAC files on the website. It was too big of a download. But And then you also got access to exclusive merch. So they had a One More Time shirt that went on sale. It's like a keyboard shooting through the sky. And that's where a lot of those Daft Punk proprietary tag shirts are coming from. And then they shut down the website and they brought it back with the anniversary release of Discovery, the 25-year 25-year anniversary of Discovery. They brought back the Daft Club cards and the shirts now suck.
Oh.
They're just like not well designed.
But how could they do that?
They're just cashing in. It's fine. They did a collab with Geeks Rule, who have done Ghost in the Shell shirts that were actually pretty cool, but there were 4 and a pop-up exclusive. The pop-up was at Dover Street Market in Paris, and they also did a pop-up in Japan. The shirts were like $200 at the pop-up. The pop-up exclusives ones were free. And so I found a couple of them for like $60, but there's another shirt that I want more. I won't go into that, but Daft Club is back. I don't think that there's any music on there that hasn't been seen by the community before.
Do you now have Daft Club access?
No. So they sold a lot of vinyls, which got sniped by bots,
of course,
and people are now flipping them. I also don't have my vinyl record player, and I have all the FLAC files of Discovery on my computer. So I don't really feel the need to buy a vinyl just for access to a website.
Are you loading up FLACs on that iPod Nano?
So no, if I want to listen to FLACs, my headphones aren't good enough, and I feel like it's kind of a waste to listen with like the Apple.
It's just picturing someone with an iPod Nano and the wired plastic, like hard plastic. Like no, the FLAC files are just so much crisper.
No, it's a wired connection, and if you have nice headphones, you can stick the FLAC files on there. The problem is they take up so much space. It's like 2.5 albums.
Yeah.
I had a Cranberries album that was all FLAC files, and it took up like 1.2 gigabytes, and I was like, "There's no point
for a Cranberries album."
First of all,
Sorry,
first of all, we're not doing that.
Sorry,
absolutely not.
I just wanted to see you have an emotional reaction.
That's fine. Thanks so much, man.
I just feel like we need to get the energy going.
Yeah, fair enough. I also have a shirt on from the New York Stock Exchange. They made promo shirts. I think this one is from 94, 95. It says New York Stock Exchange, and then it has a big picture of a bear with a cross through it. Because a bear market is a bad thing.
Oh.
I found myself romanticizing finance culture. Michael's tag checking.
Hanes Beefy Tea.
Yeah, it's single stitch.
It's single.
It's not single stitch, is it? I don't know what single stitch means.
Yeah, look,
there's just
got one line. Yeah.
Why is that a desirable trait?
It just marks old.
Oh, okay.
They are worse shirts than
okay,
stitch.
Cool.
But have found myself really romanticizing it. Saw this shirt. Somebody else had it on Etsy for like $450. And I was like, absolutely no fucking way. And then set a couple of alarms on eBay, and I got it off of Mercari for $30. So great pickup.
I feel like evidence in the shifting of like shirt weights is that when I feel an old Hanes Beefy Tee, that's just a regular tee to a guy like me.
Yeah, I mean, there's some really good heavyweight tees from back in the day. Like an Anvil blank was super heavy. I'm trying to think. A lot of them were actually quite light. There is it's like a sunset on a tag. It's something sportswear. There were some Daft Punk tees printed on those, so I know about those. The Delta triple weights are really nice. They're not super heavy, but they're cut well. My favorite blank is a Russell Gold tag.
Okay. Are you learning all of this through your love of Daft Punk shirts?
No.
That would be crazy.
This is just from me talking to people, which is sort of an ability I've picked up from doing the podcast for 5 years. Terrible about talking about myself, though.
Yeah.
Still. Anyway, I think you've said at times that I'm talking to people at parties, you're like always doing the podcast thing again.
Yeah.
Sorry.
I feel like that sounds like a way more belittling thing than I would say.
You belittled me.
Yeah, but I wouldn't. Oh, don't get me wrong. Yes, but I wouldn't about that.
Fair enough.
Because I admire that.
But yeah, no, I've really been enjoying old New York Stock Exchange shirts. They make a lot of merch for IPOs, initial public offerings, the first time a stock is sold on the New York Stock Exchange. And there's some crazy ones. There's like bicycling, racing jerseys. Some people have done varsity jackets. I think Allbirds did a shoe, even though their IPO was terrible. No, it's fine.
I'm just thinking about the guy flexing his limited edition small like special drop IPO.
That stock did
Allbirds.
shit. Yeah,
Of course it did.
Yannick, can you pull up the stock chart for Allbirds? I think it started at like a 30 per share, and it's below $1 now.
Oh my
They've
God.
sucked. Allbirds, smoking Allbirds pack. But yeah, no, I've realized I've very
forgot you
much
have
just been
theories.
trying to live my life, and read a lot and write a lot, and usually by reading and writing, you come across more information than you do from just looking at clothes all day.
That's beautiful.
Duh. But then I'm like, oh, there was this all-women DJ collective in New York City that started in 2006 called Discwoman instead of
Discwoman
Discman.
kicks ass.
Discwoman is fucking sick.
They used to play.
I love that you know Discwoman.
They used to play Bossa Nova Civic Club a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
No, I've been to see quite a few Discwoman sets.
That's so cool.
I love because I'm not that musically inclined or smart, but I I used to be part of like a music scene in Arizona, and they were big fans of Discwoman.
Oh, you're kidding.
Yeah, and another New York like collective called Sweat Equity
Yep.
or Swequity.
Yep.
And then Long Island Electrical Systems.
I should give you this book that I read.
Yeah.
You would really like it. It is about that scene in New York around like 2008 to 2015.
That's so sick. I'm really glad you said
really
that because I was trying to remember the name Discwoman the other day.
Yeah.
I was like, I know who this I know the people in it. I know what this like thing is. I just can't remember the name of the collective. Super cool.
I'm trying to find the notes that I took on that, but there were again like a lot of really cool. I think I just took photos. DJ collectives and DJ sets, and New York was really a hub for music, which unfortunately it's not really right now.
Yeah. Well, I don't think anywhere is a hub for music. I think TikTok is a hub for music now, isn't it?
Yeah, which is a bit of a shame. I think part of what I learned in the book was
I mean, we've got the Dare and the Help.
don't utter those names on my podcast again, ever again, please. Thank you
I
so
love
much.
how when
Unless
you're
we're
mad,
shitting
it's
on them.
your podcast.
Yeah.
Honey, your kid's doing something.
What was I going to say though about it? Oh, unfortunately that's true. New York City changing the cabaret law and making it much easier to like have a club, but then also enforcing more laws on what you could do legally with a club.
Explain that to me.
So cabaret was a set of laws in New York.
Yeah,
this is off the top of my
steampunk
head.
strip club.
What? Seriously?
Cabaret. Cabaret is like steampunk strip club.
You've now said that twice, and both times it's like hit my brain and not. What is steampunk strip club?
I don't know. It's like this is from like a fucking tweet or a screenshot of a
okay.
text where it's like, what's
Okay.
that? What's the name for that? What's the name for that like strip club but steampunk? They got corsets and top hats and stuff. What's it called? Cabaret.
Okay.
Sorry, I am interrupting you
No.
to riff.
That's okay.
Steampunk
I
strip club.
appreciate it. That just hit me like someone punching me in the forehead. Okay, so the New York City cabaret law, I just pulled up the actual law because I think it's important. Enacted in 1926, repealed in 2017, it referred to the prohibition of dancing in all New York City spaces open to the public, selling food and or drink unless they had obtained a cabaret license.
That's
So-
kind of like you're at a you're at just like a regular restaurant drinking a glass of wine and they fucking kick the door down.
Bill de Blasio comes and kills you.
Yeah.
But it made it really, one, hard to open up new clubs, but then two, drove a lot of the scene underground or like had a lot of warehouse raves. People were breaking in spots to throw parties.
Right.
And it really, usually when you have a subculture and you have people who are in a scene who really love it and are passionate about it and are forced to sort of work around boundaries, you breed creativity and you
Right.
also breed a really passionate scene. And then in that you breed really good music because people aren't going to take all these risks unless it's fun and the music is good. So there were a lot of warehouse raves out in Greenpoint, out in Ridgewood, out in Bushwick, out in basically Queens, but like,
When did they change it?
2017, but with the turnover, it sort of ended out in 2019.
It's really that is funny that because I moved here 7 years ago. I moved here in 2018, and I distinctly remember in my first year going to a lot more like weird, unconventional venues, a lot more like people's big weird loft apartments or like random warehouses that clearly were not meant to hold music events.
Yep.
And I remember going to a lot of them, and then I thought that maybe I just got old, but I really don't see as much of them around anymore.
No.
I know of like one group that does them still.
Yeah, which is great. And I think there should be more of that. I think it's good that people have safe places to party now. But there's also the duality where like a lot of those underground spaces and New York cabaret laws were grandfathered in, but sort of became like very anti-LGBTQ.
Which is crazy, like from what I imagine they were prior to.
Oh, yeah. But I mean, when you imagine like, okay, nightlife spaces that have to be open to everybody, you can't sell food or alcohol. They're not necessarily safe to everybody. You're sort of railroading everybody into one space. People that want to express themselves or don't necessarily feel safe are going to be excluded from those spaces inherently, you know, creates this flywheel. And so those groups were the ones getting forced. Forced and encouraged are two different words with different connotations, but bear with me, to throw those underground or warehouse parties. Yeah. And that's where a lot of these collectives like Sweat Equity or Discwoman, came from. And I think that I'm not bemoaning the fact that it's easier to access nightlife, but you go out in New York City now and you see a lot of younger kids, a lot of younger straight kids, who go out but don't like dance or have fun. Is a lot of like going out to take photos, which drives me ballistic.
The club scene has become more homogenous, and less of the actual club people appear to be present, and more of the like finance bros.
I wouldn't even necessarily say finance bros. Oh, also two things. One, cabaret laws getting overturned, I think also disincentivized the like after party where you could go out. I still think you can in some areas of New York. This isn't, homogenous. I'm talking sort of like the normal experience. You could go out and keep a night going after 4 a.m., but a lot of the clubs in Brooklyn now close at 4 a.m. and there's not really an after party unless you know somebody and you go back to an apartment or something like that.
Some bars, if you know the right like string of words to say.
Exactly. But there's no like warehouse party starting at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Which is a shame. So I think it's really interesting. It really pisses me off when I see a camera flash in a club. It scares me honestly a little bit. And I also think it means that the experience of going out for those people is predicated on having proof of going out rather than just like having fun.
Well, and I think that is maybe universally true of a lot of things now.
Yeah.
Every fashion show is mostly people trying to get the right like shot or video of them clearly seeing the fashion show, and people take pictures of themselves in front of art now instead of like looking at it.
Yeah. There's been a market shift in...
Sorry, I'm a boomer.
No, in the finance industry as well, of realizing that millennials and Gen Z, and they're still figuring out Gen X, but they really value experience-based commodities, I guess, rather than just like the commodities themselves. Like very expensive concert tickets are still getting paid. People really want to go on trips, and I think Instagram really, first and foremost, has pushed people to focus more on documenting an experience rather than having the experience. Yeah. Partially because it's gotten so expensive and you don't want to like not have evidence that you did something fun or worthwhile.
I
digress.
And this is not an original thought, but I don't bemoan anyone for taking pictures doing stuff. But like, I think I've beat this point to death, but like if you go to a show or a concert, a fashion show or whatever, and you see the entire thing through your phone screen, like making sure you're like recording everything instead of actually. That's a way different. Like you could stay home and watch the videos they're recording themselves.
Do you remember the Kuchilele Shaheen show last year where the girl in front of you was like matrix dodging to get every photo and video?
And she would like
every look.
She would. I feel like she put her phone away a few times, and then a look would come out, and she'd be like, "Oh yeah." And she got every single one, but and
the waterfall at the end.
Yeah.
Give it a break.
Like, what are you going to do with that? Why not just go home, Google Kuchilele Shaheen Fall Winter 24 and watch the video they recorded on not an iPhone camera.
Yeah.
And be like, "Oh, I saw that in person."
Yeah.
Do you think she watches it still?
No. Speaking really quickly of Kuchilele Shaheen, they did a show this year that I really liked and felt more of what I would want out of a fashion show. So you walked in, they had a live band playing. They played great music. I was actually very happy with the music.
Yep.
And then they had an elevated stage, which I think is great. And then
old style, like they used to do in the 2000s, where everyone's sitting, but the stage is at head height.
Yep. And then a press pit, which great. Like there was a space specifically carved twice for press pits, and they had clear lines of sight, and they weren't like off on a side or anything like that. It was great. I hope the show does well. I have my own critique of the show where I think they use like the same pair of boots in every look.
Yeah, Saul didn't like.
Sometimes it worked. Sometimes I was like, why are those boots still here? Like, can we get any other pair of shoes, please?
But Kuchilele Shaheen doesn't make shoes, so
No,
that was just would have just been whatever they could get like donated to them by a shoe company. But like,
Okay, thank you so much
it
for
threw
looking at
Saul's
jeans.
vibe off. Well, and also I think a lot of them were repeated because there were a lot of repeated models.
Yeah. But great show. Credit to Kuchilele Shaheen. Okay, so I have theories. The first I'm calling the Thompson 4 quadrants of clothing.
Thompson 4 quadrants of clothing.
Yeah. TF.
Thompson
Q-
Ford. Ain't that suit designer?
Exactly. So here's my not super new, but I think refined theory, where if you are buying clothes, you can somehow get 3 of 4 things maximum. You'll get a minimum of 1 and a maximum of 3, but you will never get all 4.
Okay.
Quality,
Mm-hmm.
accessibility,
Holding on.
price,
And
looks good.
So would you not? So,
Accessibility wraps into the time aspect. Like, I want it now.
okay. Whereas like price, because I would consider price and accessibility to be sort of a Venn diagram.
So that's not to say they're mutually exclusive. There is some overlap. I'd say they're on 2 different sides of the spectrum, and there are some clothes that overlap, but also that are not high quality and look good.
But like a high priced thing that I could buy now is not accessible.
Exactly.
Okay. Sorry. What am I for?
Looks good.
Looks good.
Quality. Or
Quality.
like well made.
Yeah.
Accessibility.
Yep.
/ available right now.
Availability and
Price.
affordability.
Yep.
I would agree with that. I think it's hard to even get 3 of those.
The holy grail is to get all 4, which is like you walk into a thrift store and somehow the best jacket you've ever seen in your life is $5.99, and everybody has like one story like that.
I feel like that's affordability that's availability for one person. I'm trying to think of garments that are readily available, well made, affordable, and look good. And looking good is the easiest one to give or take there, because I feel like a lot of things that don't fit those categories look good, and a lot of things that do fit those categories look bad.
Yep.
So like looks good is kind of a real like middle issue there, I guess.
Yeah.
I need to think on it. I feel like I could imagine. I mean, it's all a bit relative.
Yes. There are clothes that I wear that I think the price is justified. They were very accessible. They look good, and they're well made. Great example are my RM Williams boots. I wear them basically every day. They've held up incredibly well over 5 years. They cost, I think, about $320, which I'll come back to. I think they look good, not with every outfit, but in general. and they're well made. They've lasted very well for 5 years. But if I talk to my brother, or I would say like I pulled an average man off the street, I think they would say that $320 for a pair of boots was ridiculous.
I think that I am going to put down that the thing that exists in all 4 quadrants out there somewhere is probably a pair of raw denim jeans. Because they are, I mean, they could look good. That's also very relative. These days, like, you could probably get a nice, well-made pair of raw denim pants for like not much more than a pair of Levi's, which I consider like the benchmark.
Do new Levi's cost? That's a good point.
I want to say like 120.
Let me just look up Levi's 501. They cost, so the original shrink to fit are $47.70. But the 501s on Essence are $86.
Okay, so less than 100, I guess.
Yeah.
Interesting. No, but like if you look at, so Levi's Selvedge is 120.
Mm-hmm.
Their regular jeans are like $80. It's one banana. How much could it cost? Yeah, I mean, like they brush 100 every now and then for like, but I think looking on like a Japanese proxy website, I could probably find you a like well-made, gonna last you forever, nice fitting, in stock pair of jeans for like $150.
So what I'll counter with that, slightly playing devil's advocate, like I agree with you, but again, if you pulled average men off the street, they're not going to know how to use Mercari or Yahoo Japan auctions, and the time that it would take for them to learn.
I got a website they don't even need, denimio.com.
Oh,
the proxy's built in, baby.
Yeah.
They just do it for you, and it's cheap. They got in trouble with Pure Blue Japan.
Isn't it Denim.io?
Yeah, denimio.com.
Oh, I thought it was denim.io. My bad.
No, Denimio. They got in trouble with Pure Blue Japan.
Why?
Because they were selling stuff for
cheaper than they like
cheaper
RRP or whatever.
Well, they were selling it for
MSRP?
Japanese prices in America,
Okay.
and I think that is like that. Like maybe it's not Pure Blue Japan, maybe it's Blue and Green.
Yeah,
but they got in trouble for like yeah.
Okay,
because Blue and Green has like had an exclusive partnership of sorts with I forget which one I said first. Blue and Green and Pure Blue Japan had kind of a like partnership of sorts, and so it was like, yeah, here Japan Blue, the cheapest pair of jeans they make on here is $100.
Wow. Okay. I stand corrected.
Made in Japan, Selvedge denim, all the wonderful they got cute little pocket details.
Nice.
Blue inseam. That's my submission for and that's $100 for a pair of jeans is so regular. I think most men you pull off the street would walk into a like Nordstrom and be like, oh, $100 for a nice pair of jeans? Yeah, whatever.
Yeah. I guess there is an overlap in the center of this Venn diagram of 4 things, but those things are few and far between.
And they're mostly workwear. And I ain't wearing that shit. Sorry. I am.
Do you hate me?
No.
Yeah, Leo, I agree. Does he hate us, Leo? He does. Okay, you want my second theory before we do listener questions?
I would love to hear your second theory before we do listener questions.
I have a partial, the decrease in modern clothing quality can be attributed to the fitpic and fit check videos. And my theory is that because clothing in those photos and videos is often pictured, Leo's attacking me while I'm doing this, is often pictured as static. You're just standing still, which is not the way clothing moves and should be pictured and should be photographed. Has incentivized companies to make things that only look good while standing still.
I don't think it's that direct of a relationship. I think that I think they're both symptoms of the same issue, which is like trend turnover.
Sure.
Like fitpic and video and etc. are like about posting something every single day or week or something that like shows something new and isn't something you've posted before, which I am very guilty of, obviously. But like it it means that like clothes are much more single use than they used to be.
Yeah. And again, if you go into your normal clothing store, whether it be Zara or H&M, there's certain things like if you look at seams, I forget what it's called, the one where they just stack them on top of each other and go.
Mm-hmm.
They don't like, again, I'm not a technically skilled seamstress. Or like even looking at like stitch length in the seams themselves, you'll see really long stitch lengths rather than like short, more time intensive, more thread intensive stitches.
I think people aren't like people have gotten too, I mean, you know, economic times are hard, but I think people have gotten a little too invested in getting like the cheapest price possible without factoring in the fact that maybe buying the cheapest pair of pants possible means you have to buy them way more often.
Yeah, I agree. I also think that there's partially why we see less of people doing Essence hauls or buying a ton of stuff on Essence is people have realized that just paying a low price for a piece of clothing doesn't mean that it's good. You know, like something going 60% off may indicate that said item was not selling at all. And there is a reason for that thing to be on such deep sale. I'm not saying that all 60% off things are bad. I've gotten some stuff on 90% sale that I'm like over the moon with.
I almost exclusively shop 60%.
Yeah. But point being, I think there's like that weird intersection of like clothing. Just walking around during Fashion Week, you look at a lot of people. It's like that just doesn't look good. And then you see a photo of them, and you're like, oh, weird. Like that looks completely different to how I saw you like walking around in it. I wrote about this on my Substack, which I think...
If you'd like to join the Discord, message us. Saul writes a wonderful Substack.
Thank you. But clothes, I think clothing advertisements, like those old Gap ads, there was a Daft Punk one, which is why I started seeing these, with Juliette Lewis. Clothing is meant to be viewed in motion, right? Like that's how it's supposed to be seen. That's how it functions. You never see a piece of clothing out in the wild on a live flat. That just will not happen unless it's in a store. But I mean on a human body, right?
The dudes on the 4chan FA Fit forum and Rick saying, "No, you don't understand. You have to see it in motion, bro." It's
yes, but like somewhat not ironically, right? Like clothing looks cool. Or really well-made clothing looks really cool when people are like moving in it or dancing in it or engaging in life in it. And it's like, wow, those pants as you spin around and dance look super fucking cool. Or crazy corollary, but I'll use Rick Owens terms. There's a video of a basketball player named Cole Anthony who's playing in a pair of Rick Owens. Yeah, in pod shorts. And it looks super cool. Because the clothing is moving and it's dynamic and he looks cool. Like, that's the way clothes are supposed to look, and I detest with all my heart like the mannequinization, almost like the Essence. Yannick, can you throw like 3 Essence models that do the exact same pose, right? Michael can hit it, but like
in there.
Yeah. It's the same thing, and that's like clothes move. You can't just sit there and pin things down and have somebody run in and fix your outfit every time you stop moving or while you're moving. That's not the way it goes. And it drives me ballistic and gets me really upset when people buy clothes and they look good when you try them on in the mirror, and then you're walking around and you're like, stuff is pinchy, it doesn't work right, it looks weird in a photo, and it doesn't... The enjoyment that I get from standing still in this clothing and looking at it straight on in a mirror is not translating over to the second I start moving.
I have a slightly related tangent, which starts off with an unrelated tangent.
Hit me.
Which is that Instagram videos now, somehow something happens. They'll be posted for a few days, and then all of a sudden something like a timer will click to 0, and they will immediately show it to 20 people who have the same weird, bad opinion about it.
Okay.
So like I posted a picture of me and Fiona, or a video of me and Fiona 2 days ago. And then it was fine. It was like shown to people who know what I'm talking about and like know who I am. And it sort of just like went quiet for a bit. And then all of a sudden this morning, 10 comments in a row berating me for using the term goth when I'm not painting my face and styling my hair.
Oh, wait, the goth community turned on you?
well, the goth community's never been on my side because I'm fake goth, but like the like a ton of people like out of nowhere, none of them looked particularly goth, were like, that's not goth. Why are you? There's so many people who don't know what goth means. But I don't know how Instagram like pulled them together, collected the accounts it would show it to, and then just like opened the floodgates all at once because it just happened so suddenly. Anyways, this happened with a different video where I was wearing some like ripped up Rick stuff, like stuff that I have worn for 10 years that is getting holes in it because it's made out of sheer
I wrote
silk.
about this.
Yeah, Saul wrote about this on his Substack. If you want to join the Discord, message us. Saul writes a great Substack. And I, like, a ton of people all at once commented, like, well-made clothes wouldn't do this, or, like, these clothes are too expensive to be doing this, or, like, you know, this isn't quality. One guy in particular said, like, you know, I've owned shirts for 10 years that haven't done this. This is what happens when you buy sweatshop labor. And then I asked him about it, and he said, yeah, I've got pairs of Levi's that have lasted me for, like, 10 years. And I'm like, if you are telling me to like that I'm to avoid sweatshop labor and also advocating for Levi's, you have no idea what you're talking about. And he's like, he came back like 20 minutes later like, oh, I actually didn't know. Thank you for calling that out. I still think you're stupid. But like,
I bought those Keep Earth jeans were one of the more expensive pairs in Self Edge. I didn't pay that, but
yeah,
you know, you'd think that in Self Edge, a place that specializes in selvedge denim, price would equate some degree of workmanship.
Yeah.
Which again, they're fantastic jeans. I'm not belittling Self Edge or the jeans themselves. They're now in that store getting the crotch repaired for the 5th time. Again, like I wear them every day, but that's just what happens to clothes that you wear every day.
Yeah.
That's the fun and a beautiful part of owning clothing. They wear and they look like you've worn them.
and people incorrectly ascribe the term fast fashion to things that fall apart.
Yes.
They're like, if it breaks, it's fast fashion.
Yes.
If it doesn't, it's not.
Sure.
The only reason people turn on like Shein and think that Levi's is like a bastion of like ethical clothing production is because jeans last for a long time.
I was going to say a marketing budget, but yeah, sure.
A marketing budget too, but like jeans last for a long time, and whatever bullshit you're buying off Shein does not. And I think this is something that our friend Ben has said before, that's like people would not have turned on fast fashion in the like mid 2000s if they had kept making good clothes.
I'd agree. I think
Like,
that there was a point where like Zara and H&M made like
It was still fast fashion,
Yeah.
but Zara would like potentially make stuff that wouldn't fall apart. And people only started turning on fast fashion when it started like deteriorating.
I saw somebody get hit with like a brain reset nuke when I think it was at the Met Gala, and I forget who wore it, but somebody's wearing vintage H&M.
Oh, yeah.
And I was talking to somebody about this, and they're like, "Oh, that dress is beautiful. Like, I wonder where they got it. It's some couturier." I was like, "Oh, that's vintage H&M," and it was like dropping an anvil from a distance and just like clonking them in the head. They used to make good stuff, and I think that historically what they would do is they would go to fashion shows and very quickly produce something that looked very similar.
Yeah.
Not cheaply, they just replicate what they saw.
It was still, for the record, fast fashion.
Yes. But the point was they wanted to give somebody not like 10% of what they saw on the runway, but like, I don't know, 60%. Like they still had people hand stitching dresses and pattern makers, and they would iterate. But nowadays it's just how cheap can we produce this so that it can hang on that hanger and not disintegrate once touched. Like, you go into an H&M or you go into a Zara or you go and look at Shein clothing in any thrift store and just like pull at the seam a little bit. And if it doesn't come apart, hold it up to the light and you can see the light coming through it, which is nuts, right? Like this is the shirt I'm wearing is a Hanes Beefy tee, right? It's not super well made. It's single stitch, but like if I were to pull at a seam, right? Or like stretch it or something.
No, bro, you don't understand. It's overlock stitch. It's artisanal.
I like it'll hold up, right? Like it's not going to explode randomly. Oh my God. And then I think some people just have a plastic fetish where like they wear so much polyester. I think they're addicted to smelling like shit. There's like this polyester smell because it doesn't breathe. People just smell like shit nowadays.
And okay,
Stop buying polyester dresses. I'm sorry to cut you off.
No, another related thing is that a lot of the stupid people on the internet do not know the difference between polyester and viscose.
Sick.
Cool.
Sick.
I made a video about pants that explicitly states these pants are made of viscose. And so there was people in the comments like, that looks like polyester. That's nasty and bad for the environment.
I mean, they both are synthetic fabrics.
Polyester, well, no,
Viscose is usually a blend, right?
it's rayon. You can get viscose entirely from bamboo.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah.
Does it have to be designated?
No.
All viscose is made from bamboo?
No, but viscose comes from plant fibers.
Yes.
And then I think they put some like chemical stabilizer type shits in it, but it's significantly better for the environment than
But it is still a
viscose.
synthetic fabric.
No, I wouldn't say.
I thought that was the designation.
Maybe, yeah.
Okay.
But like
regardless.
it breathes and it's not as horrible for the environment. It's like distinctly a different fabric.
Yeah.
It's why they like line suits and shit with it. It's just like cheaper silk.
It drives me nuts that people don't understand that plastic production comes from oil and gas.
Yeah.
Like, I drive a Tesla. I love the environment and like the full shitty like synth blend Lululemon stretch fit pants. Oh, it makes me mad.
I have sometimes been a polyester defender because I think some brands like Comme des Garçons have done actually like very interesting things with polyester, but it is still polyester at the
It's a
end of the
fabric.
day.
You can
Yeah.
always do something cool with a fabric.
Yeah.
Also, I think if you have to go to Comme des Garçons to be like, yeah, they've done cool shit with it.
Oh yeah, no, not in any way a defense of like a sweeping defense of polyester, but when people see polyester and are like, I fucking hate that, like that's wrong because of the fabric it is.
Yeah.
There's a like 1% chance that potentially it's something cool, but it is still polyester.
Yeah. It's the exception, not the rule.
Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing listener questions.
Yeah.
We'll shout out whoever asked the question. Okay. I might block that person. Okay.
Wait, why?
Jesus. Somebody says, Vitami, VIITAMIES. Saul has been reading a lot. Yeah, we get it, you read. But why are his takes still so bad?
Oh, hell yeah.
Love that for him. Michael, why are my takes still so bad?
He says he's reading a lot. He's kind of just looking at the pictures.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My bad. Art theory at the Academy of Fine Arts. Nice. Okay, question from our friend Dave, who is one I, who is the most underrated swag in the game right now. I'm being for real.
Who has the most underrated swag in the game?
Mm-hmm.
Whose swag is not rated well?
I think they're rated but not adequately rated is Jake John Howard.
Oh, easy,
Where
Jake John Howard.
I feel like the internet got really obsessed with him for like 3 weeks and then kind of moved on to an unfair extent. Where I think there are a lot of guys, like at that Grailed party that we were at, Shadow Money Wizard Gang performed and Joey was there. And seeing those guys and being like, oh, you're trying really hard to do what Jake John Howard is doing.
He's friends with those people.
Yeah. Like, what's the phrase that everybody's using now? They're reheating their nachos, right? Like Jake John Howard is very authentic and distinctively him. And it's quite hard to replicate. And then you look at somebody who is replicating it, and it's like, you're like 40% of the way there. Great job, Joey. Fuck Joey, by the way, transphobe.
Jake John Howard has been doing a lot of boomerangs lately. I think boomerangs are coming back.
I love him. Yeah, Jake John Howard rocks.
What's like a celebrity with underrated swag?
I feel like now celebrities have gotten so popular, it's hard to be underrated.
That's
like celebrity stylists fall into one of two camps, which is incredibly well read, very well researched, do their job incredibly well. Like think like Dara, right? Who styles Hunter Schafer. Or just like dog shit, hey, get me chrome hearts, get me Rick boots, and it's bad.
I think just to throw a name out there.
Yeah.
And
you've given me peanut butter sandwich right before we started.
Yeah, by the way, Saul got a peanut butter sandwich in this interlude. And I only have a couple examples in my mind, but I'm going to say Tom Holland. because I think Dave deserves a controversial celebrity answer.
Okay.
And Tom Holland is not someone who anyone talks about. Like Timothy Chalamet dresses up and people have like, this is how they like talk about him.
White
as a style
boy
person.
has swag.
Yeah.
Yo.
And like Timothy Chalamet gets noticed for his like fashion. I don't think Tom Holland does, so I would consider that underrated. And then he's not like going crazy, but every time I've seen him, he's in like he wears well-fitted suits in a way that a lot of people on red carpets don't manage to. And I think I saw his like hot ones, and he was actually wearing a really cool like denim jacket, like Canadian tuxedo kind of outfit. All his stylist, obviously, but like as far as celebrities people don't talk about that actually fly under the radar pretty well. I don't know.
I've got a couple related to music.
Okay.
Just because I've been, again, like Daft Punk guy talking about Daft Punk, but I wanted to bring up the Chemical Brothers, who in the late 90s, I think had that perfect sort of like, again, late 90s bloke core swag. Can you just look up the Chemical Brothers with like 1996 afterwards? It's a lot of like windbreakers, a lot of like kind of tattered jeans, old sneakers. Again, that was sort of emblematic of that like late 90s.
They look like Jay and Silent Bob.
Yeah, right. But they have swag, like cool beat up t-shirts.
Yeah, they do have swag. This is a much better example than mine.
Cool jackets. And I think in terms of especially music, there are certain acts that get a lot of eyes on them in terms of a style, like The Prodigy, right? Where a lot of people look to them as a group, especially their frontman, as a style icon of the music scene in that time. But Chemical Brothers, really in the late 90s, I think are super underrated for that style and for influencing a lot of the style of that time because they made a lot of influential music of that time.
I've talked about this a few times, but I'm actually going to say I'm going to rescind my Tom Holland because I looked up some of his suits and they're kind of butt.
Yannick, while he's talking, can you throw up the bad suits?
There's some butt ones in there. I just wanted to say something. That's the thing about podcasting. Sometimes I'm just lying to say something. So Stephen Jenkins, I've talked about this before.
Hell yeah.
The lead singer of Third Eye Blind is the lead singer of Third Eye Blind and thus is not often looked to for his style influence or anything, really. You know, people don't really think about Third Eye Blind anymore.
Why?
Because they're like a 90s like one-hit wonder of sorts. I think they're two-hit wonder.
Okay.
I think they're really, don't get me wrong, all right? I listen to
I want something else.
I listen to it. Their self-titled album is actually very good.
Yeah.
And I listen to it with some frequency.
Yeah.
But Stephen Jenkins is known for wearing so much Rick Owens.
Yeah.
He wears a ton of Rick Owens.
Yeah. Just wait really quickly so we're aligned. What's the second hit that they made?
Wish you would step back from that ledge, my friend.
Oh, then they're
Jumper.
3-hit wonder.
Okay, what
Never Let You Go.
Never Let You Go.
You
I probably know it.
we can't with
What album is it off
Copyright
of?
Strike. It's not off of the self-titled
Oh, then I
album.
might not know it.
Really?
Yeah. There's the one about meth.
It's off of Blue.
The one about meth.
Yep.
The one about suicide.
Yep.
And then that one.
Never Let You Go.
Never Let You Go. I don't know it off the top of my head in the way that I immediately know Jumper and
I
Semi-Drunk
promise
Life.
you it's one of those things that you'll hear the first like 4 notes and be like, "Oh, that song."
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I will listen to it later.
Okay.
But yeah, that and then similarly related, I think bands are getting better stylists lately. Like bands are becoming more public figures and thus getting more like and
Dare I evoke his name? Netspend went from like one of the worst dressers ever to like whoever his stylist is like, yeah, let's put you in stuff that fits and also like
yeah.
Givenchy, like Tishi, Givenchy, and Archive Raf. And he's like, okay.
Stylists in general are just getting smarter and better. And
Yeah.
I think so. Knocked Loose was at the Grammys. Knocked Loose is like a hardcore band.
Yeah. I've heard you mention them once or twice.
And they were at, I think, the Grammys, and they were in like surprisingly. One of them had full Rick on.
Nice.
Not very good full Rick, but like impressive nonetheless.
He tried.
Like a hardcore band of that like vibe
Yeah.
was also getting styled in like designer shit.
Okay.
And then the rest of the band looked pretty good, so it's interesting.
I think that there is sort of a problem right now in both the music and the fashion and the celebrity world where a lot of stuff is fine to wear and isn't looked down on. I think that our style conventions and society's convention of style have expanded so rapidly that there's nothing that would be necessarily eye-catching on a runway.
Right.
Like, I think, the Lady Gaga meet dress still to today would be like, oh my God, what's she doing? But, like if you showed up to the Grammys in a vintage t-shirt and jeans, people are still going to be like, oh, he looks sick. That's hard.
Yeah.
Whatever. Rather than like, how dare he?
How dare he not wear a tuxedo?
Yeah. So I don't know. I'm trying to think about what that would be. Maybe a little bit crazy. I think like overt display of support for Palestine or a Middle Eastern style convention might be that sort of shocking thing that people don't necessarily like, but is a landmark event for fashion.
There's that one crazy lady who has no real musical career but goes to the Grammys every year with weird conservative messages written on her dress.
Who?
That's the thing. She's got a name, and someone did a whole deep dive into her and was like, how on earth does this random who like has never made a song or like made one song 20 years ago, never like been nominated for anything? She goes, she's only known specifically for showing up to the Grammys in a dress that says like build the wall or some such like horrible shit.
In what may be exposing a mean thing that I have realized is that in a lot of like frats, there's that one really lame kid that everybody picks on, but it's agreed upon that nobody else picks on anybody else. You just divert it to the one
That's
whack
not
kid.
frats. That's every friend group.
Okay, great. Is that her? They're just like, okay, just so that we don't turn to infighting, let's invite back Miss Build the Wall.
Well, so I think she buys a ticket in some. There's like some way that you can get a connect.
Okay.
Like you have to be a member of the, and otherwise, like aside from getting invited, you have to be like a member of the academy or something. And there's like some weird way that she has an in to do that, and obviously she is in some capacity paying.
Oscar's resting his head on his fist. It's really cute.
Yeah, it's a little guy. All right, let's get through some
Next
more
question.
questions.
Poofy Thing asks, I want to start making clothes for myself instead of buying everything, but I don't know how to do anything. Advice.
So Saul and I have no knowledge whatsoever of okay. I'm sorry for speaking for Saul. I don't think that I could sit down at a sewing machine and make myself a garment that I liked.
I could run a stitch on a sewing machine.
Oh yeah, I can stitch, I can repair. What I'm going to say is that I think that YouTube will give you a surprising it sounds silly, but we know someone who learned how to make shoes off of YouTube, and they do incredible work. That is Ives Barrera, of course. So there is definitely, I think there's more than one designer we've talked to who's like, yeah, I just watched videos on YouTube, or I think it's as simple as that. It's
we live in a golden era, I think, right now of really easily accessible information.
Yeah.
And materials are cheap. The barrier to entry super low. Like Julian Carter makes or started making DIY content, and I think sort of taught himself by doing it. There are a lot of designers, not just shoe designers, that have taught themselves on YouTube.
Yeah.
I think Trevor of Fugazi started making like tech packs from just like following guides on Reddit.
Yeah.
Right? Like the barrier to entry is much lower than I think you think it is.
But the thing that people often do is they start learning something. They're not immediately as good at it as everything they're seeing on the internet, and they give up. And it is such a learned skill to do something like that. And I think people have lost sight of like, you see people putting their like perfect work out on the internet. You lose sight of the fact that so many people it takes years before you're actually doing that level of work, and you are going to have to make some horrible pieces of clothing.
There's two really good examples. Is that guy Joe, who started making clothes for his girlfriend on TikTok. That was like their thing.
Yeah.
He's now designing at the Met Gala, and I think Ella Emhoff wore one of his dresses to the DNC. Like he just kept doing it. I think that is symptomatic of, with there being so much information readily available, it's very easy to like try and skip a lesson or two.
Yeah.
And once you learn the basics of something and you understand sort of like, okay, this is what I do. You have that foundation. I think you start to understand how much more there is to learn, one, and then two, how behind the curve you are. And I think you just have to accept that you're going to suck, and what you perceive that you can do or what you want to do because you've learned and you've seen other people do really incredible things. Like your eyes get too big for your plate. And again, I'm not saying like don't try, but just be okay with shit looking like shit, at least to your standards.
Lock yourself in a room making 5 shirts a day for 3 summers.
There's there's a mangaka who spent, I think, like 18 hours a day just drawing. He just made a concerted effort, like on anything with anything, was just going to keep drawing, and like started making freak shit, like naked mice with their asses and hoo-ha's out, just like anything that came to mind. But he got incredible at drawing, and really quick and articulating the figure. Like, you just have to do it. And if it looks like shit, you can say, okay, it's going to look like shit. I made that Shishiko shirt that Michael taught me. It took me like 12 tries to do the smallest patch. And then I was like, okay,
I understand it now.
Then you get it, right? And then you start doing it better. And I'm still not very good at it, but enjoy the learning process. Don't expect that you're going to be able to make a dress day one. Just be like, all right, let's make a t-shirt. And in 3 months, maybe I'll make a good t-shirt. Okay, Michael.
Malcolm Gladwell, 10,000 hours.
Carson and Jay asked, what got you into vintage?
Me?
I think that was a me question.
Well, you see.
For me personally, I think it was the pipeline that a lot of kids go through where I was 16 or 17. I was running around New York. Vintage clothes are accessible. Retail clothes are too expensive. I fell into the trap that I think a lot of young men especially do, where I started buying fakes because I just wanted to wear, I would, like, lack of a better term, label whore. And then realized that a lot of modern clothing just quotes vintage clothing. And especially with like Supreme, that like generational run they were having, some of their outerwear is just slightly cooler versions of like old one-off things, right? Like shot jackets or what's a piece that comes to mind? I don't know, like the racing jackets or the shot jackets, even the Brooks Brothers suits. And I was like, okay, I started working at a vintage store. I worked at Fine and Dandy, and then I worked at a fashion magazine. And I was like, okay, a lot of the stuff they're pulling are designer, right? Like runway, archive. Archive is a bit of a loaded term.
Can I posit something?
Yeah.
When it's falling apart, it's vintage. When it's ugly, it's archival.
Exactly. No, but on the shoots, the really good stylist that I was very lucky to meet would mix really cool old like Jean-Paul Gaultier with runway off-white and then like a vintage pair of Levi's. And I was like, oh, that's really cool. You know, I don't know where to find the Jean-Paul Gaultier. I can't afford the runway off-white, but I can find Levi's, right? Like those are $5 at Buffalo Exchange or L Train, or there's a really good vintage store in Tarrytown. I don't know if it's still there, but I could drive there, or my local Goodwill. And I started buying vintage stuff. And it's only gotten more easier and more accessible. People curate for you. With that,
but
the
more
prices
expensive.
prices have crept up. But I would say that like if you are traveling in New York, or not New York, excuse me, if you're traveling in the US, just be willing to go to a thrift store. In Austin, Texas, there's, I think it's Wasteland. Some of the best.
Wasteland was in Los Angeles.
I think it's a chain. Maybe it's like, you know, Garbage Patch, or, you know, it's something along those lines. I've been twice, both times with other people, and every time I go, I disappear. I find at least 3 or 4 either red line Levi's for under $10 or orange tabs.
Damn.
Sometimes they don't fit, but they're there. Find great vintage single stitch shirts like that Isshin Ryu karate tee I got for $4.99. I always wear it. It's one of my favorite t-shirts. That Dell crew neck that I'm always wearing, that was from that store, $5.99. They had like a vintage Shaq jersey from 2002 that was up on the wall. And I was like, oh, I probably shouldn't even ask. $12.99. Like,
Hell yeah.
really great stuff. You just need to like suck it up and go to not like a La Brea, LA Goodwill that's been picked over by kids in college. Just like if you're traveling. And I understand travel is a privilege. Round trip tickets to Austin, Texas are usually like $160. Like, I think a lot of people can make that work. I'm also 25 in hindsight, maybe not, but scour Depop, scour Grailed, learn how to use Yahoo Japan. It's much easier than you think. Set eBay alerts is the only advice I'd give you. That's how you get into vintage. Just set eBay alerts and be patient.
Yep.
Except that you can't own it now, but you might have it in like 6 months.
Be patient.
Yeah. Daft Punk guy still can't find one shirt from 2013. Can't find 3 shirts. Kind of upset about
We
it.
got a lot of questions. How many do you think we'll get through?
Not all of them. There's some that are just like jokes. Zach Adler says good place / method for finding Japanese designers, Yoji and Y3 at a good price.
That one, as obvious as it might sound, is going to be just trawling Yahoo Japan and Mercari and etc. and being quicker than all the other people who are trying to do it as well.
Yeah.
There is a lot of it out there.
Yep.
And I also think probably what you're going to end up, like, get good at identifying it and get good. And like find when they fuck up on the real. The only problem is that if you are doing that, I can tell you 5 other guys by name who have been doing that for 10 years now. So like,
I'll put it this way. If you're seeing a piece of Yoji or Y3 on any Instagram archive page, whether it be... Actually, fuck them. I'm done giving lip service to
they
the ones that I hate.
paid a tenth of that off of Yahoo Japan.
Well, first of all, they paid a tenth of it, or they paid close to what they're selling it for and are just doing it for optics. Or, I guess, sorry, all of these are ands. And they've gotten to all of it first. And... once you see it on there, there are at least 25 other guys now with that search saved.
Which sounds very discouraging.
Yes.
But it's possible.
It is.
Also, go to that eBay website that lets you search misspelled stuff.
Typo Hound.
Typo Hound.
Really good.
Yeah, you type in Yoji and it'll search for YOJHI.
Yep.
YOJI. Like, it'll search for anything that's approximated to Yoji.
I found a contrast collar wool with a leather collar Yoji suit on Typo Hound. I think it was with 2 M's in Yamamoto. Some
There are 2
guy
M's in Yamamoto.
back to back. You know what I mean? It's fine. Some guy in Florida was selling it. It was clearly just like his suit that he'd bought back in the 90s. I got it for $80-something. It
Hell yeah,
came, it
brother.
was too big. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to wear this. I think I wore it once at Yale. Kind of regret selling it, but sold it later on Grailed to somebody else who I think loved it. You can do it. Just be diligent and be accepting of the fact that you're not going to find it tomorrow. Unless you have a special interest. Tekken was easy for me because I've just bought all the Tekken stuff because I don't think anybody's looking for Tekken.
B.Ilen.
Mm-hmm.
B.Ilen. Why do athletes, specifically white boy hockey players, have no drip? And how will you personally fix it? So white boy hockey players, I'm going to guess, have no drip because they have not been hit by the like tunnel walk phenomenon, where like basketball players started to get known for how well they were dressing. And then tunnel walk like outfits became a thing. And it's now bleeding over into football. There's now football walk-up outfits. I think baseball might be next, and then hockey will be last.
I can also give you a slight historical perspective, at least on basketball. Allen Iverson, especially in the early 2000s, was a huge driving force in pushing the limits of what was allowed in terms of wearing to games and in the tunnel. He was fined multiple times by the commission, by David Stern, who was the commissioner at the time. Basically, like, and again, this is not my sentiment. The overwhelming sentiment was like, we don't want our game to look ghetto. And there was a really hard pushback for anybody acting in a way that was unbecoming. Like, they really wanted like gentleman athletes, which, you know, like Allen Iverson was, again, like if you look at it now, looking back, it's like he was wearing basketball jerseys and like baggy shorts and baggy jeans and headbands. Like it wasn't anything ostentatious, but again, that's with a historical lens. I think that historical precedent, at least in basketball, allows for, or the door got blown wide open.
Mm-hmm.
And I think with hockey players who are usually coming from pretty elite schools in Canada and the US, and the conventional outfit for those players is like jeans, hoodie, hockey jersey over. And there's not that like aspect of people coming from hyper diverse backgrounds. That's changed a little bit in the modern day NHL, but I don't think that diversity of clothing or diversity of background, especially from low income backgrounds with like a hip hop influence, have permeated other sports. I also think that basketball has had a much closer relationship to music, which has lent a lot of like that swag or clothing to the game. And again, this is the influence of Black culture on these sports in general. Basketball has historically had the highest percentage of Black athletes of all of the 4 major sports. So suffice to say,
does hockey have the most white people?
I think there's like 3 or 4 professional hockey players that are Black. They're great, and it's been great to see however minimal a diversity in the game. But yeah, historically, hockey has been overwhelmingly white, if not 100%, at least in the pros. And I don't know my full history. Maybe I'm wrong, but at least from the outside looking in.
That makes sense.
Very easily, could you name like the best hockey player of all time?
Wayne Gretzky?
There you go. White. Could you name the best basketball player of all time?
Oh, no, because that's so... I mean, Michael Jordan?
Sure.
I don't know.
Yeah, I won't argue this out with you. Can you name the best?
Steve Nash.
Not the best of all time. Maybe the best son of all time. That's fine. White dude.
I'm just naming... Those are the 2 white boys who have made an impact on Arizona sports.
Cool. Can you name the best baseball player of all time? One of them?
I mean, it would be Babe Ruth, except he was... playing in a time when it was only white people allowed, and that's probably why he was so good.
Yeah. Can you name maybe the best football player of all time?
Wait, who's the guy who's famous for the home runs?
Or Sammy Sosa, Barry Bonds, Mark McGwire,
Barry Bonds.
Okay, sure. Good example. Can you name the best football player of all time?
I feel like that's even more up for debate than like.
Still, just take a shot. I'm using
Larry
this.
Fitzgerald.
What the fuck?
It's the only football player I can think of.
Really?
Well, I don't know. I didn't want to say that one guy who kisses his sons.
Tom Brady. Yeah, debatably the best football player of all time. But my point is, like, again, I wouldn't say you watch a ton of sports. I'm not yamming on you for that. But, you know, for the average fan, most of the best players of all time in the major sports are white, save for basketball. And I think that it's very underrated, at least in the history of fashion, that I feel like the NBA has gotten such a head start in that realm of fashion because of Black athletes willing to push those barriers. I don't think
that's true of baseball.
Baseball has always had that history of like, I mean, the Yankees enforce like a facial hair rule. Mm-hmm. And I think there's been less experimentation. I think
just more so like, I don't think that like all of the historically best
No.
baseball players have been white.
But I think for different reasons. I'm just sort of using like a straw man argument. I do want to say that there is a huge history of, or not history, but a culture now of letting baseball players celebrate more and being more ostentatious and flamboyant, wearing jewelry, which is cool. And I think pushing some of the barriers of like maybe like an older, stuffier game and making it more young and exciting.
Yep. Gonna get this one out of the way real quick.
Cool.
Safe Station says, thoughts on vegan leather meggings. This is the wrong Instagram account. You are looking for Mark Boudelier.
Mark Boudelier's down the street.
Yeah, sorry.
Yep. We don't do that here.
Yeah, we don't tolerate none of that shit here. Someone who I'm not even gonna give name credit said Deftones Y2K Riz Party and its effects on humanity. No. And then good question from Bushwick Shoddy, who is a known podcast fan and Discord member. Mm-hmm. She asks, do you think there are hipsters now? And if so, do they have a defined aesthetic or overlap?
It's a really good question, actually.
So I feel really... I mean, do you mind if I...
Pop off. You live in Brooklyn. You're the guy for this.
So there used to be this like defined specific... like hipster started out as like a term for people who like get on trends and then are pretentious about it. Like hipster was a term used to like define people who are like very on trend and kind of a shitbag about it. And at the time that term first came to light, the thing to be on trend about was like fixed gear, handlebar mustache, skinny jeans, flannel, keffiyeh,
Caravan Palace.
Yeah, like a real that real specifically hipster type of guy. Or girl or whoever. Like there was a very specifically defined style that was it was indie sleaze for lack of a better word. It was it was around that era. It was you would look at American Apparel, I feel was a defined hipster brand.
Yep. Oh God, I can the circular glasses.
Yeah, and that was a very specific subculture that became known as hipster.
Mm-hmm.
I think that the term hipster has taken on more of that term. The same way that modern art is not art that's made in modern times.
It became its own
became its own style of thing.
Yeah.
So now we have modern art and contemporary art, and I think we've actually moved beyond contemporary art. We are now doing current art.
Yes.
So things the problem with defining things by their specific by a relative time period term is that you end up then having to use that for the rest of eternity, and it's weird. So hipsters probably still exist in that they're more so than ever. There's these people who are very quick on trends and get on those trends and then are sort of pretentious about it, are a very sort of gatekeepy type of person that I would consider a hipster. Person who gets into a subculture that is trendy but doesn't understand the subculture itself, only the aesthetics, I would say that's hipster.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't ever use that term because to me it's solidified as a Tumblr posting American Apparel tiny hoodie.
Yeah.
The stand-up comedian hoodie. The black Ray-Ban glasses. Girls with the Jeffrey Campbell-Litas galaxy leggings.
Stop.
Bird tattoos.
You're hurting me.
Owl necklace. No. Taking pictures like this.
You're hurting me.
The all
this is aggravated assault. I don't like this.
Jeffrey Campbell-Litas.
You're forcing me to remember.
Tights, a tiny little pencil skirt, a beige sort of sheer shirt with birds, tiny print of bird outlines drawn all over it, tied off and kind of messy shirt? Tucked. What?
The Martine Serre
oh, that's kind of a redux of that, isn't it? Yeah,
isn't
wow.
it?
Martine Serre brought it back.
Yeah.
It just doesn't. I mean, they tried to bring back the actual hipster style again as indie sleaze.
Yeah.
That burned out. There are still a ton of people on Instagram pursuing indie sleaze as a career. God bless them. Meg Superstar Princess, what are you up to these days?
You know who I think is really good at somehow maintaining that hipster, they never left, is Grimes. I love Grimes. I am hopelessly attracted to Grimes for some reason. It's not healthy. It's not.
I know
normal.
it smelled crazy in there.
It do smell crazy. Absolutely. She only ate spaghetti for 2 years and gave herself scurvy. Anyway, she's always wearing some fuck shit.
Yeah.
And every time I look, I'm like, it's so bad. But in that galaxy print legging, tiny bird shirt,
this pose with the hand on the arm.
Yeah, she's somehow stayed doing that in a new way for 11 years.
She's kept it alive.
Yeah, Yannick, real quick, can you throw up the tweet that's one day God came to a stinky Canadian girl and spoke through her in the voice of God. That's how I feel about Grimes.
Does Zooey Deschanel still do that shit?
No, I think she's just wearing plain dress. I don't think she has to do Manic Pixie Dream Girl to get attention anymore.
Yeah, but she was
I love the Smiths.
I think you misunderstood that movie.
I haven't seen that movie.
Oh, that movie is about the opposite of what you think it's about.
What movie is this?
500 Days of Summer?
I've literally only seen that one scene.
Oh, it's not about a pick-me girl.
Oh.
It's so exactly the opposite of that.
Okay.
It's about Joseph Gordon-Levitt finding a girl who's cool and creating a narrative around her while she's just doing her own thing.
Sounds like every relationship I've been in.
But like the end of that movie, like everyone watches this movie and it's told from Joseph Gordon-Levitt perspective,
Yeah.
and the entire misinterpretation is like, oh, she sucks. But sorry, this is such a tired point that people I think talk about a lot, but like that movie, she is very like very much clear about not wanting to like be his manic pixie dream girl.
Oh, okay, cool.
And in the end, she gets married to somebody else, and he finds at the very end a girl called Autumn to continue obsessing about. Like, it's the cycle starts over. That's the whole movie.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so
maybe I'll watch it.
She's not pretending to be a manic pixie dream girl for attention.
She's just cool. She's kind of chill like that.
Yeah, she kind of chill like that, and people project manic pixie dream girl onto her.
I love the Smiths.
I love the Smiths. Sorry, that is
no, pop off. I enjoy learning about it. Let's see. Our friend Harry at Felt the Ham. Why does Michael love nun caps so much?
Cool as fuck. Next question.
Okay.
It's a nice way, because I have a big ass head.
Yeah.
I have a lot of hair.
Yep.
There are not a lot of like hats that will help me deal with that. Even with my extra large baseball cap for fat heads on, my hair still explodes out the bottom.
Yeah.
Nun caps fully cover my hair.
Yeah.
And they are interesting in a way that I don't think is like completely flashy.
Okay.
They're like not as they're kind of subtle. So I will say compared to like showing, you know, the Rick guys in the leather cap with the big spikes on it. It's not a Rick cap. I think it's like Anonymous Club.
Yeah.
The Rick guys who wear like the full Rick outfit and then one of those and sunglasses.
Yeah.
Nun cap is a much better alternative.
Yeah, I guess. You're looking at the guy that jumped the shark and be like, I'm working with the tub of piranhas here.
Yes. Something like that.
Cool. We have two more questions. Aiden Maraca asks, how do you know if you're making an informed or sustainable decision or just falling into the hype? I think it's that old quote about Congress where you can't really describe it, but you know that it's porn. Like, if you're seeing it on TikTok and somebody's like, these jeans are the song of the summer, like, don't buy them, guy. Like, come on. Don't do that. Just do the 2-week rule. If you like anything,
What's
take
the 2-week rule?
Take 2 weeks before you buy anything. And if you still like it, go and buy it. Also, try things on in person. I think that there's been a huge switch in the way that people shop for clothes, which is only looking at them online.
Yeah.
And then they arrive and they fit weird. You have to go and try things on. Michael's going to hate me for this, but those Devoa jeans, if you look at them online, look like shit on a lay flat, but they fit me really well. Saul
now has the money to buy these Devoa jeans. He messaged me about this today. I wasn't going to bring this up. You brought it up.
Yeah, that's fine.
Saul has the money to buy these $300-ish jeans because he sold enough of his other clothes. And he's deciding between those and a limited edition Daft Punk t-shirt.
Really rare Tokyo Records exclusive Human After All release party shirt that was only given to execs. There were like 15 made, and this one's in perfect condition with the like printout that's like, thank you so much for coming. This was great. Here's this shirt.
I wish I had the energy to go through this podcast and find every time you've made a sweeping declaration that paying $300 for a t-shirt is the dumbest shit you could ever do.
It's not $300.
Oh, it's $200. My fault.
No, it's $180.
And shipping and tax.
Michael, do not go stupid purchase for stupid purchase.
Oh, here's the thing.
That's fair. I've also said multiple times, I think paying more than $60 on a t-shirt is stupid. I will stand by that. I'm aware that this is not a brilliant purchase or something smart that I'm going, out on a limb for. I am very much breaking my own rule for something that I think is very cool and worth it. And you're yamming on me.
Literally have no. I think that if you buy the Daft Punk shirt, that's cool and great, and I'm sure you'll be pretty happy with it. I still think that I don't know. It just I like that it goes in the face of how you frequently talk.
Yeah,
I think it's fun to talk about that.
I think you need to be able to break your own rules.
Yeah, that's the only reason
I also still haven't bought it.
I think you should get the Devoa jeans.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna say. I think that
the Super Shock 13.5 ounce
Zimbabwe cotton denim.
Yeah, okay,
yeah. I just think you've talked about those you've had your 2 weeks with those.
Yes.
And
but that's the deal with it, right?
Third boys episode and third episode, we have ended talking about Devoa Superstruct 13.5 ounce cotton Zimbabwe denim. So that's a sign.
Yeah. I do feel like it's pretty great that we have such diverging tastes in clothing. I feel like you play it pretty close to the chest and are very into 4 brands, maybe 5, maybe like really passionate about like 3 or 2.
Yes.
I feel like I pick and choose from a lot of different brands. And I wouldn't necessarily say that my style is that distinct. Or I don't think I'm breaking the barrier, but I think I mixed the Rick with the Morty.
Yeah.
You mixed the Rick with the Rick.
I'm pretty mono brand a lot of the time. I do think that every now and then I find one specific item by a brand that I'm like, oh, this is like perfect and fits in with everything, even if I don't have to be obsessed with it. Like Capital jeans.
I was going to say Kozaburo jeans.
Kozaburo is, I would say, one of the brands these days that I am like very obsessed with.
Yeah. No, listen, everybody, I can proudly say, and I've emailed proof that I was on Kozaburo wave from 2017.
No one accused you of not being on the wave.
My point being, it's never too late to jump on the wave. Get on the wave. There's
on
space
the
for you on the
wave,
wave.
idiots.
We're on the wave. And we're like, oh shit, it's great up here. Get on the wave.
Kozaburo train's coming.
Choo choo, bitch. All right, last question. Mugler Baby asks, and I think it's a really interesting question. How do you think the new political era will affect fashion and style?
I'm scared.
Yannick, can you throw up the woman who wore that like fuck Trump sweatsuit? Do you know the one I'm talking? The red, white, and blue one? Do you know the?
No, but this sounds cornball as hell.
Yeah, no, it's terrible. Hold on. Fuck Trump sweatsuit.
I think that
she looks like every art professor I've ever had in my life.
I think that the last time Trump got elected, and I'm not in any way a fan of that concept, but the last time Trump got elected, it led to a wave of like horribly corny, a little too on the nose art.
Yeah.
Maybe not in fashion, but there was a whole lot of like Cheeto Man bad that was like not productive and I would say performative, not in any way like helpful.
Yeah. I think it was performative outrage.
Yeah, it's like the sort of thing that people who are already mad are going to see and be like, hell yeah, he's worse than Voldemort. And the people that are not mad about it are just going to be like, okay, that sucks.
Yeah, I think that with the Trump presidency this time around, with him winning, unfortunately so convincingly, there's more of a understanding that the Democrats have really fucked up, unfortunately, and have not run efficient or well-managed campaigns. And I hate to say it, they got really lucky with Biden in 2020, and I think that was sort of a fluke election.
It's crazy that that's considered lucky, but lucky that he made it, not that was their pick.
My point being, I think that Democrats got really complacent and really lazy and were under the assumption that they could coast to a victory again because Trump was being so terrible, and underrated their ability to get voters mobilized. Unfortunately, behind a black woman. I don't think that the average American likes women. Again, really unfortunate. But my point being, I think that at the last Trump presidency, there was such a crushing atmosphere of like, we're fucked, that it really paused and stalled a lot of life that was happening, one. And two, I think all of the things that you saw in art were so, like Michael said, like Cheeto Man bad. I don't think there was a lot of depth to it. But I think now, weirdly enough, things are getting terrible for a lot of people, but there's less, like everybody knows that we're fucked, right?
Yes, I would say so.
Just like things are so tangibly bad, getting angry doesn't really do anything, unfortunately. And I think that, again, like there do need to be protests and there do need to be X, Y, and Z. But again, doing that, you run the risk of giving Trump martial law, which is its own problem inherently. Like I'm not a political scientist. My point is, I think that, and hopefully there will be a push towards spaces where people can congregate and share ideas and be positive outside of just trying to out angry the other people. And hopefully it comes in the form of good art, good music, and people getting out of the house and trying to do something to forget how fucked this all is.
Overall, though, I don't know that I think it will have a huge direct impact on like the current fashion scene we see. And I also think if it does, that's probably the least important impact that it might have.
Yeah. I think that things are going to get really bad for a lot of people. I think the only downstream effect is going to be that a lot of people get, or a lot of people start struggling economically. And there's this really interesting thing called I think it's the lipstick impact, where even during times of severe economic duress, people still buy like tiny luxuries. So the one thing that's proven to be recession proof are cosmetics, like lipstick. So we may see the beauty industry come back. We may see some sort of like small consumable for men break out. But I don't know. I mean, like, I don't really have a nuanced take. Just like support the people around you. Try and protect women and people of color and people who are going to be prosecuted or persecuted by this administration. It's all you can really do, unfortunately. I wish I could lampoon, but I'm just going to end up arguing with myself, as I want to do.
So it goes.
Yeah.
And that's politics.
Oh, it made me really sad. Fuck. This admin is so bad, Michael. We're so fucked.
No.
Okay.
Song of the week?
What else is funny? I don't fucking know. Can we end on a high note? Can you tell me something good?
Do you want to find a funny question?
I think we're basically out. Let me find a funny one. I don't know. Tell your family you love them. Support the people around you.
Stop saying sad stuff. We're moving on to happy.
Ooh, the Frankie DeBaufer. Can you machine wash most of your clothes? Yes, but hang dry everything.
A lot of it, I'm getting worse and worse these days about machine washing stuff.
Oh, you hand wash everything?
No, I used to be better at hand washing stuff. I used to hand wash everything, and now I will very often like throw shit in a laundry bag and then in the washing machine. And I think I'm maybe accelerating the deterioration of my clothes by doing so. But you know what? I'm lazy. But in general, I think it is, I don't know, with like thin, delicate shirts, I find that it's probably best if I hand wash.
I don't really have very thin, delicate shirts, so I feel like I just cold wash everything on delicate and then hang dry basically everything but like pajamas, socks, and workout clothes.
I also own so many pairs of pants that I have, I swear to God, no idea how to wash. I don't think it's possible to wash them. And you know what? That's just a fact that we are living with.
Nice.
Most of the like waxed Rick stuff I'm scared to wash.
Oh.
And I'm also a little scared to dry clean because dry clean has historically fucked up some of those.
Yeah.
And then I have a bunch of like leather or pants with leather detailing. And like I got some denim joggers, but they have suede panels.
Oh, the Stormtrooper pants?
Are they? Yeah, I guess. And like, what am I supposed to do with those?
I don't know. I own 4 pairs of pants and they get washed when I break them.
You should get a 5th pair. I feel like that might help.
What pair, Michael? What should I buy?
Oh, well, so I don't know if you've heard of these, but recently I saw a pair of Devoa Superstruct 13.5 ounce Zimbabwe cotton denim jeans. They look kind of bad on the mannequin, but I feel like if you tried them on, you might like them.
That's a really good idea. I should look those up.
Yeah, I mean, you got a lot of t-shirts, right? You don't need more t-shirts right now? You could do with a 5th pair of pants.
My problem with t-shirts is I'm living very I've cut a lot of expenses in my life, which is great. Like, you know, I'm post grad, waiting to hear back from some programs, just trying not to spend any money, and I've gotten costs down a lot. The thing that gets me is like a $30 t-shirt where I'm like, I'll skip dinner tonight. It's cool. I went and spent $100. We're back to solve poverty talk. Went and bought a $100 worth of dumplings at Shujo Fujao. Mm-hmm. And I've just been eating like 8 of them a day. and a
that's
bunch
it?
of potatoes and eggs. But eggs got expensive.
You let me know when you start shoplifting boar's head chorizo, and I will take you out to dinner. Okay?
It's all good. I've got money squirreled away. Not a lot, but I have a stream of income. I just need to be smart about spending it.
I got a funny for you.
Yeah.
The Real for the 10th time this year reposted those, maybe even an even worse version, horribly
me.
fake sock Ramones. They do this constantly. Something about like the Real, they're pretty good at legit checking Rick. They constantly upload the same like batch of horribly, disgustingly fake women's sock Ramones. The toe box looks like a Pringle. Like it's like flat and a little concave. Like it is the shape of a Pringle and not just like a half dome. And then they straight up, the signature says Rico Owens. It says RIKOOEWUS.
It's like very clearly fake. How do these keep getting?
It says, I swear to God, that says Rico Owens, right? OEWUS. Do you see that?
I can't.
Owis?
Your arm's blocking it.
Sorry, Rico
Oh my god, it really does.
Owens.
What the fuck? How are those passing?
And then they've got a little like a circle stamped out on the bottom that says 225 or 22.5. I'm assuming it's meant to be like a Japanese size, but anyone
Those are the
who's
Japanese exclusive.
ever looked at a Rick Owens shoe in their entire fucking life should know that they don't. I don't know. I'm sorry, the Real. Would you like me to come in and train people? I'll do it for money.
Okay.
Oh my God, look at this toe box.
Yeah, they're indented. They got the anvil dropped on them.
I'm going to send these pictures to Yannick, and he will show you.
Okay. Song of the week. We have a playlist called Pair of Kings, but the R is a 12. We had all the songs that we and all of our guests recommend. Michael, you want to lead us off?
Yes, I'm doing Be Forewarned by Pentagram.
It's a cool.
Yeah,
name.
it's not as like hardcore as it sounds. They're like they're kind of like a old man, like I don't really know how to put, like kind of like not country but like rockabilly-ish maybe. I don't know, but they're just like a good band. They're good.
Nice. I'm adding Pluto by Bjork. I've gotten a lot of hate for liking Bjork recently.
And we're doubling down.
Really? You're not a
No,
Bjork
you're
fan?
doubling down.
Oh yeah, no, of course. I love
Yeah.
Bjork. Oh, she's fucking hysterical. That one interview that I brought up a million times where they're like, are farts funny? And she's like, yes, but there are funny farts and not funny farts. And they're like, which ones are you laughing at? And she's like, the unfunny ones. I love her. She's amazing. She's so weird.
There are little people in my TV.
She's great. I love how unapologetically weird she is. And I don't think it's an act. She's just like that, which is great. I love a little weirdo.
Bjork pretending to be a manic pixie dream girl for attention, just like Zooey Deschanel
For 30 something years.
for 30-something years.
Bro, you're not a vibe. That's the podcast.
That's it, baby.
If you'd like the chance to win a Rick Owens beanie, you can pick the color. Head over to herohero.co/PoK. You can also get early access to episodes and exclusive episodes. One of them will be coming soon. Thank you so much to everybody for listening. You can find me on Instagram at Saul Thompson. My name is Saul Thompson as well. I'm joined this week by my wonderful co-host.
Hey, my name's _Smithstagram. You can find me on Instagram at Michael Smith.
And this has been the Pair of Kings podcast. You can find us on Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok at Pair of Kings Pod. Don't forget to head over to Hero Hero. Plug for my Substack, onesizefitsall.substack.com. Thanks everybody for listening. Have a great Thursday if you're listening to this on the Hero Hero. A great Tuesday for everybody else. Don't forget to go and, I guess, subscribe so that you can enter that giveaway. And this has been the Pair of Kings podcast, where once a week, every week for the foreseeable future, we are bringing you business as usual, tomfoolery as planned. Love you all. Take care. Bye.